FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's July 1, 2019. Well, usually sell in May and go away is very sage advice, except this year in so many markets, whether it's gold, Bitcoin, the stock market, oil, a lot of different markets have experienced major increases, major volatility in this month. Probably none more than Bitcoin. So remember, our contest, you got to enter by 11:59 p.m. July 14th, and the drawing will be on July 20th. You got to guess the price of Bitcoin midnight on July 20th, and you got to get closer than me. Mine was 66.50, so that shouldn't be any problem because we're over 10 grand right now. And where are these markets heading? I don't know, but email us with your guess. KL@kerrylutz.com. Remember, grand prize, if we get 1,000 entries, it will go up to 100 pre-1965 silver U.S. quarters. If we don't, 40. That's the grand prize. First 5 runner-ups, if we hit 1,000, we'll each get 10 pre-1965 quarters. If we don't, you each get 1. So keep those entries going. It's going to improve your chances. We've gotten about 500-600 of them so far. So there's no reason we shouldn't hit 1,000. Well, somebody who follows the price of gold and of Bitcoin like a shark is our good friend Todd Bubba Horwitz. Todd is with us now. Todd, it's always great to have you on the show. So what about these metals markets, huh?
Gary, great to be with you. I mean, the metals markets are doing almost exactly as we did over time. I mean, you know, one thing I think we should all learn is that all markets are really the same and they trade under the same patterns. They trade the same way. And we had a giant move in gold up to, in fact, last Monday, we had a blow up at about 1440, 1450, which was about the upper end of this range for what we're looking for. And now we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. And I think that's perfectly natural. And I think at 1380 to 1390 is probably a spot, depending on if you're trading or if you're investing, because they're different. I mean, as a trader, I'm looking for a spot to enter. As an investor, I bought a little bit because, again, I think that you're seeing the natural rotation and the move higher from lower levels. I mean, we track it. We've been watching it since it was at 1900 the first time, all the way down to 900. And of course, it trades in different patterns and different levels. But again, it's the understanding where the market is and where new money should come in and buy. And I think you saw the same thing in Bitcoin, in the cryptocurrencies. We went down and it was down, and the whole world it's going to zero. It's a big bubble. It's a big garbage. And of course, in the mid 3000s, we kept talking about, well, if you're going to get in, this is the time to look to buy in. You could see the pattern developing. Now, could I predict that it was going to go right to 14,000? No, I can't. But I can tell you that it looks like it's going to go higher. And I think that this selling you're seeing right now is simply natural selling. Markets don't go straight up. They don't go straight down. So now what you're looking for, if you're looking to get into Bitcoin, is for actually when the selling is going to stop. And again, right now, if I were looking at Bitcoin, I would say probably I'd want to look at 10,000 first as a potential level to maybe enter, but I wouldn't just jump in at that number. I think that's the first legitimate spot where it might start to hold and show some support. But I would think that below there, you're probably looking at 9,000. So somewhere between 9 and 10 is going to probably be an entry. But certainly we got to 13.9 or almost 14 last Wednesday or so. And so you're seeing a perfectly natural, after a panic, fear of missing out buy, you're seeing a natural pullback.
Yeah, and that's to be expected for sure. I mean, the tree does not grow to the sky. We know this, and you want to see a market pull back after it's had a major advance. You want to see it retrace anywhere from a third to half, sometimes a lot more of the gain, because it's setting up for the next advance. Markets don't go straight up. They don't go straight down. What's your take on the stock market, though? Because what's interesting here is the gains in the metals, the cryptos, has been in the face of some strength, at least some support for the Dow, on the stock markets and other major indices.
Well, I think the stock markets are trying to finish off the end of this big rally. I think when you look at the overall market, obviously there's been a lot of excitement. The supposed handshake with President Trump and President Xi says, okay, so it's free to buy. Now, the one thing you're looking at in the stock market, now I firmly expect the markets to sell off pretty heavily. Again, predicting when it's going to start, I have no idea. But telling you that I expect that, and as a trader, I am looking for some spots to get short. I've already started to nibble in a little bit to get short. But as an investor, I will just stay the course knowing that the math says that the markets go up about 8.5% year over year. But I think you're seeing, I think a lot of the retail trade jumping in. I think it's the fear of missing out trade again here. And the other thing you have, remember, is the overall chase for yield, because bond yields continue to fall, which is, again, obviously in the face of a rallying stock market. Bonds continue to rally, which means that interest rates continue to fall. People are forced to chase yields somewhere. And right now, the only where in the world to really get any real yield is the United States stock market. So that has been helped pushing it along as well. But we all know, Kerry, that these things never end well. And those who are chasing it at the very last drop are the ones that are going to be left holding the bag as usual.
Yeah, that's very true. It's kind of the greater fool theory, right?
I would think so.
Yeah, so are you going to be the greater fool? I mean, that's what happens in every market. And look, Bitcoin, we saw it was a bubble for sure. You can't deny its behavior up to 19,500, put it in bubble territory. The interesting thing about Bitcoin is that most markets, after they've encountered a bubble, they never really recover for many years, and yet Bitcoin has done that, right?
Well, yeah, but let's remember one thing about Bitcoin. If we compare it to other markets, Bitcoin is still a baby market. It's still very much in the infancy of it. So, the overall market cap of the overall thing is very small, and it has not yet been had the approval yet of getting into the funds and everything else. So once they start to get this in, that will increase the market cap. That'll make it a much bigger product. But, you can see because of the light volume, the light action, that it gets that the swings are much bigger. But it's amazingly how they still work into the same type of chart patterns that would be watching. It's just the moves, the structure and the volatility is a little bit bigger right now. And, many of us forget that the overall, everybody talks about the VIX index. When I first started trading in 1980, the VIX averaged about 35% a day. Okay. So now, everybody gets excited when it gets to 15. So all that's telling you is that in newer markets, volatility is a little bit higher, and you shouldn't be distracted by the price movement, how fast it moves up or down, but more should follow the actual pricing patterns that do show, just knowing that there's a little bit more action in these thinner markets.
Yeah, very true. And Bitcoin is still, Todd, to some extent, it's the wild, wild west here. Let's face it.
Well, I think it's real. I'm going to be honest. Look, it may not be ready today, but I think that may not be Bitcoin, but I believe that the crypto space is real. I think that the whole intention of what libertarians really want to see, which is free markets without the Federal Reserve in being able to manipulate into those markets and change the value of your dollars while they're still sitting in your pocket. The overall blockchain theory, the whole thing behind it says to me that it's real. Now, would I take my last dime and invest it? No. I mean, anybody who's investing right now today in Bitcoin should be investing capital that they're prepared to lose every dime of it. So, if you only got $1,000, don't put $1,000 in Bitcoin. You have to be able to absorb the loss that may come, because it may not be real today or tomorrow, but I believe that over time it's going to be real. So you have to keep enough capital on hand so that you can sustain another meltdown if we go back down to 3,000 again. Again, you cannot assume that we're going to go up, but I do believe that the concept behind it is real. I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to help eventually end the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to see you be right. I have my own view. I think until cryptos really have almost like vault-like security, like Fort Knox-like security, the gold might not be there, but nobody's able to break into Fort Knox to figure it out. My feeling, honestly, here, Todd, is that until we're at that point, Bitcoin has got some serious proving up to do, and we're just going to have to see where it goes from here. You know, there's only 7,000 nodes in existence for Bitcoin on the planet. To think that it can't be shut down by nefarious actors, either governmental or large private actors, I think is really kind of overlooking a major weakness in cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Financial Survival Network is brought to you today by Oren Resources, a junior exploration company with the appetite of a major. It's hot on the trail of the next globally significant discovery, creating enormous potential upside for you, the shareholder. Oren is one of the most aggressive exploration companies pursuing high-grade, scalable gold and copper deposits, and has a premier 7-project portfolio, including its 2 flagships, Committee Bay in the Arctic and Sombrero in Peru. Oren's unparalleled technical team and highly experienced management has a history of success in advancing and monetizing exploration assets. No wonder Oren's been called one of the best in the junior exploration sector. Oren trades on the TSX and the NYSE under AUG. To learn more, go to orenresources.com. That's AURYN resources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Well, no, I don't disagree with any of what you're saying, but I'm looking at it at a different view. I mean, you're certainly correct in your assumptions. I mean, nobody really ever knows for sure if somebody's going to get involved, but I do believe that the concept and the theory behind it is to keep them out.
Yeah. Oh, hey, and believe me, I think we'll be there. I just don't think that the current iteration is the real threat to the powers that be. It's going to be the next one that really has this amazing security that nobody can really get at. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is, it's got a ways to go here, and we're at the baby steps. And yeah, I think that eventually, what's your take, Todd? I should ask you on Libra, on basically Facebook's run at the crypto space.
I'm not a fan, Gary. I got to tell you, I think that you've already seen that Facebook has their own agenda, which makes sense. It's their business. They're trying to make as much money as they can. They've already kind of gone to regulators. Facebook in general is trying to force regulations upon their own company to shut the competition. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so we know that. They're not trustworthy. I say we know that. They're certainly not trustworthy. To many of you out there, they're not trustworthy. Can't trust them. But on the other hand, Todd, they've got huge market cloud here, right?
Yep.
And they can do things that other players don't have the resources to do. Like they can get Wall Street to come on board, but the others not necessarily, right? It's harder for other cryptos to get Wall Street and Visa and MasterCard, everybody to go in there.
100%. You've got it nailed and you've got it right. And again, unfortunately, but they're they've got their own agenda and they're not really interested in what you and I are, which is
for sure
free market.
Hey, I don't get me wrong. I'm not a Facebook fanboy by any stretch. We can both take a lot of issue with a lot of their practices in many different ways. In many different ways. You and I are both, as libertarians and proponents of free speech, not thrilled. But looking at it purely from a business standpoint, they have the ability to do this thing that nobody else who's entered the space yet, including the banks, have the ability to do, right?
Listen, they've got they got billions on their network.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about you're correct. And that's what gives them a big edge. And of course, people don't care that they are the product when they're on Facebook. They don't care that they send their data.
I know.
Or that they can go and chat with somebody.
And they can exchange pictures and reconnect with their fling from high school from 40 years ago and dream of a better tomorrow, right? I mean, it's perverse, the things that take place on Facebook. But the other thing I would just point out is the telephone. Who was Alexander Graham Bell competing with when he finally invented the phone, got the patent? He was up against Edison, who at that point, Edison had J.P. Morgan, and they went to court. And you know what? You don't think of Edison as the father of the telephone, right? So that should tell you that there is definitely room for others to dominate this market. And just because you have the resources and you've got the money and you've got all of these things going for you, doesn't really mean anything if the other person beats you to the punch, with the other company, right? So
I agree. Listen, I agree with that. I only say that as markets and as businesses have got more sophisticated, it does make it a little bit more of a challenge. But certainly, you have the best idea. You're going to get it through, and if you can get the support behind it, then we're going to be in great shape.
Yeah.
But we have seen, obviously, even if I go back to the simple example of volatility in markets, volatility's come down because the information flows so quickly today. So it's a little bit more of a challenge, but I have no doubt that somebody will figure it out. And I have no doubt that you're correct when it comes back to, can this be the next real thing? And so I'm with you.
Yeah, and it is exciting. No matter how you look at it, it really is exciting to see what's going on here. It's we've never experienced anything quite like it in our lifetimes. And it's just kind of tech going to the, doing what tech does, right? Changing, disrupting, and really making markets behave in ways and people behave in ways that we never had thought possible before. So that's the amazing part. So, hey, as far as looking ahead, price of gold, when we look at the fundamentals, the price for gold going up is pretty compelling, isn't it?
Well, again, I think so. But again, I'm more of a technical kind of guy. I mean, I think that, overall, I believe that, gold is going to go up over time. I personally never buy or sell based on fundamental reasons. I only buy or sell on technical reasons. But certainly I could see gold, going to 1,500 this year, maybe higher. I'm certainly, wouldn't be shocked. I don't see it going much below. If it goes down a little bit, I don't see it going much below, 1,300. But obviously it could. But I do think that the prospect is higher. I think that we look for a run over time at the old new highs. And again, I think that you look for these markets to continue, the gold market especially, to continue to work its way higher as it goes through these trials and tribulations of how markets work. But certainly, I'm definitely looking for higher, and I'm definitely buying at opportunities to be a buyer when the technical reasons dictate that it's time to buy.
Yeah, same here. I totally agree with you. Hey, Todd, we want to find out more about you and connect with you on the web. Where's the best place to find you? I always read your articles on kitco.com, obviously, but your website, and how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, great. It's bubbatrading.com. And when I reach me on Twitter, which I post there a lot too, it's @Bubba_trading. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Email me at bubbatrading.com. If you have questions, I love to answer. I love to help out people, and I love to share the education.
And same here. We love what you do. Do a great job. Hey, any questions, comments? Enter the contest. Make sure you get the entry in. 11:59 p.m. on July 14th. KL@KerryLutz.com, Twitter feed @KerryLutz, Facebook page Financial Survival Network. Todd, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kerry. Appreciate it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.